years ago, then candidate Obama made a campaign promise that has not withstood the measure of time or the realities brought by terrorism. He said he wanted to close the secure detention facility at Guantanamo Bay. Ever since, he has pursued policies that willfully avoided the targeting chain of capture, interrogate, build intelligence, and target. It turns out the reality of closing the secure detention facility is a lot harder than making promises on the campaign trail. It's an incredibly complex issue with grave national security concerns for the citizens of our country and for our allies. The fact that the president has never been able to present any kind of serious plan to Congress seems to say quite a lot. We hear he's working on one now. We will, of course, give consideration to what he sends. We will, of course, keep an open mind. It doesn't mean Congress is going to agree with him. It's going to be a very tough sell because it's hard to understand why indefinite detention for terrorists on U.S. soil is preferable to detaining terrorists who cannot be released in Guantanamo. This is especially true when one considers the fact that bringing terrorists here presents serious risks that simply do not exist if we keep the terrorists in the secure facility down there in Guantanamo Bay. This much is crystal clear, though. If the president wants to be able to import Guantanamo terrorists into America's backyards, he's going to have to persuade a majority in Congress to change the law. The law prevents that. Just last week, big bipartisan majorities in Congress voted twice to underscore the point. We overwhelmingly passed a defense authorization bill with a clear bipartisan prohibition on the president moving Guantanamo terrorists into our country. We overwhelmingly passed a veterans funding bill with a clear bipartisan prohibition on the president improving military facilities for the detention of Guantanamo terrorists in our country. The Senate has voted many times in recent years to enact these bipartisan protections. We enacted them in Congresses with split party control. We enacted them in Congresses with massive Democratic majorities. The president signed them all into law. So if the president wants to bring Guantanamo terrorists into the United States, he has to change the law. That's the opinion of the president's own Attorney General. She was asked directly this week if the president could ignore legislation passed by Congress that prohibits him from transferring Guantanamo detainees to American soil. This is what she said. Attorney General Loretta Lynch, the law currently does not allow for that. Let me repeat that. The law currently does not allow for that. That's Attorney General Lynch of this administration. This is what the nation's chief law enforcement officer, a woman appointed by President Obama himself, had to say on his ability to import Guantanamo terrorists into our country. This isn't exactly a revelation to anybody. The fact that the president's now contemplating flouting the law in pursuit of a campaign promise from years ago means that it's apparently necessary for his own Attorney General to remind everybody that the law is the law, even for President Obama. There are a multitude of other reasons not to bring these individuals into our country. I plan to continue reminding my colleagues of them here on the floor from time to time. If the president ever presents some kind of plan we can actually debate, I'm sure there will be several different views on it. I'm sure we'll each have a lot to say. I'm sure the president will make his pitch to convince Congress that moving terrorists into American communities is a good idea. Like I said, it will be a hard sell, but the president should make his case if he feels passionately about it. For now, though, we should at least be able to agree with what one of our Democratic Senate colleagues recently said of the president he's going to have to comply with the legal restrictions.